Let's be brutally honest. The silence you're getting from her isn't the kind of silence that comes from forgetting you. It's the silence that comes from remembering you a little too much. And if you felt a punch in your chest just now, it's because deep down you already know that a woman doesn't go quiet when she stops caring. She goes quiet when she's conflicted, when she's replaying everything, when she's trying not to show you that she's still emotionally tied to you. And right now, you're about to learn the psychology behind why she isn't reaching out. Yet somehow, you're still the first thought that hits her every morning, and the last one she tries to drown out every night. Men rarely realize this, but a woman's silence is a battlefield. She's fighting two sides of herself, the part that misses the comfort you gave her, and the part that fears losing her pride if she comes back. And the truth most men never hear is, a woman will go quiet, not because you didn't matter, but because you mattered too much. When a woman feels something deeply, she becomes terrified of showing it, terrified of looking weak, terrified of being the one who cares more. And so she retreats, not to let go of you, but to get control over her emotions. That's the piece men never see. There's a moment after a woman pulls away where she tries to test her own heart. She starts asking herself questions you'll never hear. Why do I still think about him? Why do I still check when he's online? Why am I still hoping he'll message me? But instead of answering honestly, she chooses silence. Silence becomes her shield. Yet at the same time, that silence becomes her torture. She wants you to reach out, but she also wants to see if she can handle losing you. She wants to know if walking away will free her or destroy her. That's why she disappears. Not because you're forgotten, but because she's overwhelmed. And while you might be blaming yourself or assuming she's moved on, her feelings are nowhere near as clean or as clear as her lack of communication makes them seem. Women don't shut off emotion like a switch. They don't forget a connection just because they step away. In fact, the quiet often amplifies everything she tried to suppress. Every memory becomes louder. Every moment you shared becomes sharper. She tries to distract herself, tries to pretend she doesn't feel the pull. But the mind doesn't work that way. The heart definitely doesn't. And late at night, when no one is watching, she thinks of you more intensely than she will ever admit out loud. What you need to understand is this: a woman doesn't avoid you when she's done. She avoids you when she still feels something she can't control. She stays silent because reaching out would expose the truth she's trying to hide, that you still affect her. She's not texting because she's trying to convince herself she doesn't need you. But even while she tries to convince herself, her emotions betray her every time she remembers the way you looked at her, the way she felt around you, the way she could never fully replace what you gave her. Right now, you're not out of her mind. You're the storm she's trying to calm, the thought she's trying to silence, the feeling she's trying to bury, and the harder she tries, the louder you echo inside her. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you something personal. If she showed up tomorrow acting like nothing happened, would you take her back? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments. And if this already hit home, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When she goes quiet, she starts imagining scenarios. She wonders if you're angry. She wonders if you stopped caring. She wonders if you replaced her emotionally, or worse, if you realized you were better off without her. These thoughts dig into her pride and her heart at the same time. That's why she doesn't reach out. Not because she's cold or heartless, but because she's scared of confirming the fear she carries deep inside, the fear that you may actually be fine without her. And that fear is powerful. It makes her defensive. It makes her withdraw. It makes her pretend she's the one who's done when she's nowhere close. But the more she tries to detach, the more she feels the emotional residue of what you two had. She thinks she's escaping the connection by staying silent, yet every hour of silence only tightens the knot inside her chest. She wanted distance to clear her mind, but distance has only made her realize how much you still live inside it. Let's go even deeper, because if you think her silence is simple, you're underestimating what's happening inside her. A woman's mind doesn't just shut down and move on. It replays, rewrites, and reevaluates everything. And when she's not reaching out, it's not because she's indifferent, it's because she's overwhelmed by the weight of her own emotions. She's fighting a war she doesn't want you to see, and the battlefield is filled with memories of you, the way you spoke to her, the way she felt when you were around, the way her heart reacted without her permission. Most men never realize how deeply a woman thinks when she's silent. But you're about to. When a woman stops talking, she starts analyzing. She becomes her own investigator, her own judge, her own critic. And the harshest part, she's not judging you as harshly as she's judging herself. She's questioning every choice she made. She's wondering if pushing you away was a mistake. She's asking herself if she should have been more patient, more present, more honest about what she felt. But pride is a powerful thing, and pride whispers things that drown out the truth. It tells her to stay quiet. It tells her not to be the first one to break. It tells her that showing emotion is weakness, and you'll use it against her. Even though that's not who you are, even though that's not the reality. Her fear speaks louder than her memories, but her body tells the truth. She feels the loss physically before she feels it emotionally. You're the thought that interrupts her day when she least expects it. You're the name that flashes in her mind when she tries to fall asleep. She wonders if you've moved on, even if she pretends she doesn't care. She checks her phone longer than she should. She gets disappointed by her own expectations, then angry at herself for having them. That's why she disappears. Because the emotional pull toward you scares her more than the idea of letting go does. And here's something you've probably never heard. Women often go silent because they think you deserve better, not because they don't care, but because they care too much. She might believe she's not enough. She might think she can't give you what you deserve. She might assume you're happier without her. And instead of facing those fears, she retreats into distance. She tries to protect her heart by pretending it's not involved. But whenever she's alone, the truth hits her harder. Silence becomes the space where everything she tried to suppress rises to the surface. The reason you're still on her mind is because emotional connections don't fade for her the way they do for others. When a woman truly felt something with you, she carries it long after the conversation stops. She replays your voice. She remembers your presence. She thinks about the version of herself she became around you. And even if she's trying to convince herself she's done, her heart knows she's not. That's why she hasn't reached out, because she's scared that one message from you would bring everything back, and she wouldn't be able to handle what she feels. The silence you're hearing is not rejection. It's emotional overload. It's hesitation mixed with longing. She's not trying to forget you. She's trying to figure out how to stop feeling so much. But the harder she tries, the deeper she falls back into the memories she can't erase. And that's why you're still all she thinks about, because the heart doesn't move on just because the mouth stops speaking. Let me ask you something real. Do you think she's scared of losing you, or scared of feeling you again? Answer honestly in the comments. And if this resonated, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs the truth. Let's be brutally honest again. Because the deeper truth is this: if she's not reaching out, it's not because her feelings disappeared. It's because she's terrified of what those feelings might still mean. A woman doesn't pull away from a man she feels nothing for. She pulls away from the man who awakens something in her she can't fully control. And right now, you're about to understand why your distance is affecting her more than she'll ever admit, why your silence is getting under her skin, why it's making her think about you even harder, even though she pretends she's detached. A woman's psychology is built around emotional contrast. She feels in waves, in peaks, in moments that rise and crash inside her. And when she steps back, she experiences something most men never realize: an emotional rebound. Not the rebound with another person, the rebound inside herself. She'll feel a sudden emptiness where your presence used to be. She'll notice the way your absence changes her day. She'll sense the shift in her own mood, her routine, her confidence, and she'll start asking herself questions she doesn't want to answer. Why does it feel strange not talking to you? Why does it bother her when you don't check in? Why does she care whether you've moved on? These questions hit her harder in silence than they ever did when you were speaking. Because silence creates space, and in that space, every suppressed emotion comes back to life. A woman who's not reaching out is still thinking, still comparing, still imagining the version of you that she claims she doesn't miss. She wonders what you're doing. She wonders if someone else has your attention. She wonders if the connection she felt was real or just something her mind created. And these thoughts loop in her mind on repeat, especially at night when everything is quiet and she can't distract herself with noise or tasks or excuses. The truth is this: you were a source of emotional stability for her, even if she never said it. Your presence anchored her more than she will ever confess out loud. And when that anchor disappears, it creates internal chaos. She starts to feel imbalance. She feels the gap. She senses the absence. And her pride stops her from reaching out, even when her emotions are begging her to. That conflict is the reason she's quiet, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares in a way that threatens her sense of control. Women often fear vulnerability more than loneliness. She's not choosing silence because she likes it. She's choosing it because it makes her feel safer than exposing her heart. But that doesn't mean she's at peace. In fact, your silence mirrors her biggest fear, the fear that someone she cares about might actually walk away. And that fear keeps you alive in her thoughts far longer than she'll ever show. What she doesn't realize is that by trying to suppress her emotions, she's amplifying them. Suppressed feelings don't disappear, they grow, they intensify, they form emotional pressure. That's why she thinks of you at random moments. That's why your name pops into her head when she's going through her day. That's why she gets irritated at herself for caring. She's not reaching out because she's trying to regain emotional control, but you're still all she thinks about because she hasn't actually regained it. And here's the ironic twist. The more you stay quiet, the more her mind fills the silence with you. Your absence becomes the loudest presence in her life. And whether she likes it or not, she feels it. Now let me ask you something personal. If she texted you right now, would you answer instantly or would you make her wait? Drop your answer in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who needs clarity. Let's continue with the truth most men never hear. Because if she's gone silent, she's not living in peace, she's living in emotional tension. The kind of tension that builds quietly, slowly, and powerfully beneath the surface. And even if she looks fine on the outside, posting selfies, keeping busy, pretending nothing affects her inside, she's dealing with a storm that has your name written all over it. A woman doesn't detach cleanly. She detaches in fragments, in waves, in pieces that never fully leave until she faces her feelings. And right now, she's avoiding them, not because they're gone, but because they're too strong. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When she goes quiet, she starts imagining scenarios. She wonders if you're angry. She wonders if you stopped caring. She wonders if you replaced her emotionally, or worse, if you realized you were better off without her. These thoughts dig into her pride and her heart at the same time. That's why she doesn't reach out. Not because she's cold or heartless, but because she's scared of confirming the fear she carries deep inside, the fear that you may actually be fine without her. And that fear is powerful. It makes her defensive. It makes her withdraw. It makes her pretend she's the one who's done when she's nowhere close. But the more she tries to detach, the more she feels the emotional residue of what you two had. She thinks she's escaping the connection by staying silent, yet every hour of silence only tightens the knot inside her chest. She wanted distance to clear her mind, but distance has only made her realize how much you still live inside it. What's happening inside her right now is a psychological loop. She tries to distract herself, scrolls her phone, buries herself in work, talks to friends, but your memory keeps slipping through the cracks. She can't fully block it. She can't erase it, not because she's weak, but because emotional attachment leaves its mark, even when we try to deny it. And her ego won't let her reach out first, because reaching out feels like admitting she still cares. But keeping silent feels like punishment. So she's stuck between two choices she hates. The reason she thinks about you so intensely is because she never fully expressed everything she felt. Suppressed emotions don't disappear, they linger, they echo, they grow louder in silence, and whether she's the one who walked away or the one who pushed you away, she's still carrying the emotional weight of that decision. Even if she acted strong, even if she acted like she didn't care, that was performance, not truth. Women often perform strength when they're hurting the most. And here's the part that really twists her heart. She's scared that you won't be the same if she reaches out. She's scared the dynamic shifted. She's scared she lost her place in your world. She's scared you learned how to live without her. And for a woman who once felt safe with you, that's a terrifying thought. That's why she's not reaching out. That's why you haven't heard from her. But silence doesn't mean you're gone from her mind. Silence means she's battling every emotion she doesn't want to admit. You're still the thought she hides from her friends, the name she avoids bringing up, the memory she doesn't want to feel but can't get rid of. You're the quiet ache in her chest she tries to ignore. And whether she says nothing for days, weeks, or even months, the silence itself proves she's still emotionally connected. Now let me ask you something real. Deep down, do you actually want her to come back, or do you just want closure? Tell me your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs clarity. Let's be brutally honest one last time, because the truth you're about to hear is what most men never understand. She's not reaching out because she's afraid. Afraid of feeling too much, afraid of showing weakness, afraid that one small action will undo the careful balance she's trying to maintain. But here's the thing, even in her fear, even in her silence, you are still the thought she cannot shake. You are the standard she measures everyone else against. And the reality is, silence doesn't erase desire, it sharpens it. Every moment she doesn't contact you, every hour she doesn't see your name pop up, only makes her think about you more. And that is why you're still the center of her mind, even if you don't hear it out loud. She's replaying every interaction in her mind, overanalyzing every word, every glance, every reaction. The small gestures you made, the way your presence made her feel safe, understood, desired, they're magnified in her thoughts. She's thinking about what you'd say in situations she encounters now. She's imagining your reactions, and she's feeling the emotional pull of your absence more than she's willing to admit. The longer she goes without reaching out, the louder your memory screams inside her. That's the paradox. Her silence is not indifference, it's emotional intensity. What many men fail to see is that women process relationships differently. She's not only remembering you, she's feeling the absence of you. And feelings, unlike logic, don't respect boundaries or timelines. You might tell yourself she's moved on because she's quiet, but her silence is not a blank. It's a canvas where every thought of you is painted vividly. And because she hasn't confronted those feelings openly, they gain strength, intensity, and persistence. The absence of communication doesn't mean absence of emotion. It often means the exact opposite. Here's another layer. Her pride and fear are intertwined. Pride tells her to stay strong, to appear unaffected, to not be the one who reaches out first. Fear tells her that if she does, she might lose control over her emotions. She might risk heartbreak. She might feel too exposed. And the struggle between pride and fear is what keeps her from contacting you. But while her mind argues for distance, her heart argues for you. That inner conflict ensures that you are still on her mind, constantly, involuntarily, like a song she can't stop playing. Even more revealing is this. The intensity of her thoughts is often directly proportional to the connection you shared. The deeper the emotional bond, the louder her mind echoes your presence. And because she values you, because she knows what you meant to her, she battles with herself to maintain her composure, to resist the pull, to prove to herself that she doesn't need to reach out. But the truth is, every suppressed feeling, every withheld message, every moment of avoidance is proof that she still thinks of you, that she still cares, that she still feels something she can't fully explain. So here's the lesson. Her silence is not rejection. It is evidence. Evidence that she's still engaged with you emotionally. Evidence that she hasn't moved on. Evidence that you still occupy her thoughts in ways you may not even realize. And that understanding changes the way you see her absence, not as a loss, but as a signal of the power you still hold over her heart. Now let me ask you something personal, something only you can answer. If she suddenly reached out tomorrow, would you respond with caution, with eagerness, or with calm curiosity? Type your answer in the comments. And if this video gave you clarity, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who really needs to hear this truth about female psychology. Remember, the mind can try to hide what the heart feels, but feelings have a way of finding their way back. And right now, she's still thinking of you, whether she says it or not.